shooting. Multiple victims down inside the school. This time, all radio traffic will be kept to a minimum except for emergency situations only.
We need to start treating our children across this country and protecting them the way we protect our money. Probably one of the things that hits me the hardest when I think about it is this. If we're not protecting our kids and they're vulnerable to any violence or assault or God forbid, a school shooting, we've told them that they're not a priority. That's the message we've sent. We spend, hundreds of millions of dollars, trillions of dollars a year on defense. Why won't we defend our own children at home while protecting the rights of the good people all across this country? And that's the step forward that we need to take. And I'm really proud of this program and where we're headed.
So the School Resource Deputy Program, or the Community Resource Deputy Program, is primary focus is school safety. So making sure that we're present in the schools, we're building relationships and trust with the community, letting them know that we're there for them and we're there to protect them.
When we went out for the public safety mill levy, we made it a priority that school safety was going to be on the top of the priority. And the citizens of Cascade County voted for it, and we've deployed it. And it's been extremely successful.
When crisis hits, it's extremely important to have somebody who is in place, who's designated, who is easily identifiable. But beyond that, it's really important that it's a person who has developed rapport and trust within that community. Because when we have those things in place, we increase the likelihood that people are going to utilize them when there are concerns, that they are a person that's accessible, and we can expect that someone could feel safe going to them if they needed to.
We are a rural district, and we are far away from immediate response, and the fact that they know that law enforcement is there daily, that puts them at ease.
It's almost like their day just brightens as soon as I walk in that door. The amount of highs, the amount of high fives, the hugs and everything you get from the students, they love it when I'm there. They offer me snacks all the time when they're doing stuff. They love it when I come into the building. The staff too, they say they feel safe when I'm in there. And so I like that aspect of the CRD program.
There's 30 plus schools in Cascade County, and we need to have an armed, trained, sworn person in every single school. And that's my mission. That's what I want to accomplish.
They come in and support our administration, they support our students, they support our families so that we can support students. And what they do is everything from prevention to coming in crisis and supporting us.
If we have law enforcement showing up only when bad things happen, it really is counteractive to what we want to see with community policing and the idea that we're developing good, positive relationships, again, not necessarily when we see things are going poorly, but we see them there at baseline. So it's less intimidating, it's less scary. It's also important to normalize their presence because we don't know what narratives people have about law enforcement, what prior experiences they have. And so the idea is to create a narrative that is important to our agency. And in this particular case, the narrative that's important is a community of community policing and developing positive relationships beyond just when people are in crisis.
We have had a couple students that have had some pretty significant mental health crisis, and our deputy has been a first responder on that. And most of the time, I would say our students say, please don't leave, stay here with me. And our deputy stays longer than maybe you would think they would need to, because that's what helps keep our students safe and feel comfortable.
Consistency helps with relationships. In Sun River Valley, our deputies are working with our kids, not only with understanding what law enforcement does, but they also talk to them in relationships in the classroom. We've had deputies go in and do some teaching, especially with our seniors in government class, and talking about traffic law, and then helping out at assemblies, homecoming assemblies during the school year. Our deputies come in and they participate in some of the fun activities, and they get to see the human side of law enforcement, that they're not just robots or people that are, badge heavy. They're human beings just like you and I. So
my first year doing CRD, it was hard to interact with the kids. That's something I was used to, because with this job I interact a lot more with adults. So changing it up to where I'm interacting with the students at the schools, that was a little difficult, but as soon as I got it, I mean, I can go in there and I could chit chat with any one of them if I wanted to.
The communities surround themselves around the school. So if the school trusts them, and as long as the community trusts the school, then the community begins to garner that trust. And that's where the relationships have been built and strongly built, is by being in the schools, and not just strictly in the schools, but in the community.
Sometimes I get a little jealous because a lot of these kids have better relationships with the CRDs than their own principal.
We started to see a paradigm shift. And basically it was, we cannot wait a single second because there's teachers and students and maybe even parents whose life is on the line if we wait.
Hold clear. Everybody okay? Who's in?
If you look at the statistics for your active killer events, we have a shot fired every 4 to 15 seconds. Your shooter has a hit rate of 50 to 70%, and there's usually a 1-to-1 kill to wound ratio. Time is of the essence. So even if I get here first on scene, how long can I wait for that second officer? If my second officer is 30 seconds behind, you're still talking about a shot fired every 4 to 15 seconds. So the faster we get in, the faster we stop the killing, the more lives we save.
A lot of times, before the 911 call even goes out to law enforcement, the event is over. So you literally have seconds. So if a law enforcement officer gets on scene, they need to go. They need to go in immediately. They need to find that threat. They need to announce themselves that they're there, and they need to take away, they need to distract the bad guy and let the bad guy know that they're now being hunted. They're now in danger of their life for their horrible and cowardly act.
With the mill levy, we've been able to finance more of our training. So since it's been instituted, we've been able to grow the number of instructors that we have. We've been able to institute solo engagement responses, train on solo engagement responses, something that is very important for this county due to manning and knowing that our backup might be 15, 20 minutes behind us.
We have 9 phone calls to date that say this training has saved their lives. That's why we do it. I want these guys to be able to go home. And while we think in law enforcement that our job is to go home at the end of the shift, it's really not true. There's a priority of life. Hostage, innocent, officer, suspect. We're number 3 on that list. It's not our job to go home at the end of our shift. It's our job to make sure you guys go home at the end of yours. So us going home is a luxury. I want to give them all the training I can to make sure that's also a possibility and it's going to happen.
Our program is built from first call to the very end, where medical and fire are on scene and we're getting patients out of a building should something like this happen.
We really expect a lot from our law enforcement. We expect them to hold many hats, and in doing so, we're expecting them to engage with people from all different walks of life, all different circumstances. We're having them engage with people who are quite possibly having the worst day of their life. And so we are expecting them to have stellar communication skills so that they can de-escalate situations without using force. And so communication becomes very important in that way. And we rely very heavily on training in order to teach them how to do that most effectively, to be able to go down their decision tree and figure out what skills they can use and when.
There's more that we can be doing. And each day, each year, we're doing more and trying to find new ways to improve that security for the schools because, like I said, our kids are worth protecting and we want to be there to protect them.
There's also an economic side to it. If we don't keep our schools safe, their parents won't go to work. If their parents don't go to work, we don't have a workforce in our community and our economy is going to suffer. This is not just a small issue, it is the issue. And there's no excuse in a country this wealthy with this amount of resources for us not to do it. But politically, we have to change the narrative and we have to decide as a country that this is our priority.
I think it's important for people to get behind anything that is going to put preventative measures in place so that we don't have to learn from something after it's already happened. Sometimes the worst planning comes in the wake of reactive decision making and reactive program implementation. We really want to have the opportunity, again, consistent with proactive wellness, we really want to see people putting these things into place proactively so that we don't have to wait for something bad to happen. And it's important for everyone to be on the same page in that particular case.
I remember just seeing like a lot of apathy towards this situation. I remember seeing that, oh, it'll never happen here. Oh, it'll never happen here. And year after year, when I was in law enforcement, we kept seeing it happen.
That way we're ready for it. We don't want it to happen in this community. But if we pretend that it's not going to happen because it's never happened here before, then we're already going to be behind the ball. We have to be ahead of the curve on it.
Being proactive is huge, and I want to be 3 or 4 steps ahead of a situation before it turns into something that I'm trying to play catch up with.
This is not an unsolvable problem by any means. It's just a lack of people taking action. People have to take action to protect these kids.